just because it's my favourite topic. So we've had some questions about recurrent PSC, but also about so if there's going to be any research into recurrent PSC, but also about immunosuppressants post-transplant, and if there's any research that you know of upcoming or currently that is looking into having a transplant and then not having to have immunosuppressants, so other methods of keeping the liver healthy after transplant.
I mean, obviously there's lots of, you know, I suppose what we're talking about immunotolerance regimes, yeah, I suppose what we're talking about, immunotolerizing regimes, and how can you keep PSC away after a transplant. I mean, obviously, as Palak alluded to, the interest in why the colectomy affects the recurrence rate, you know, and I know that's you know, lots of papers on that, is fascinating, isn't it? And I think that tells us something about the immune system in the gut and its interaction with the liver. So I think we've got lots to learn there. And I think, you know, unlike PBC, where it's very clear, or there's very clear data that perhaps those on cyclosporin are protected versus those on tacrolimus, and that may be something to do with the fact that the bile duct cells in PBC, cyclosporin does something that makes those cholangiocytes, those bile duct cells, turn the immune system off. We don't really have that data yet in PSC. It doesn't seem to be quite the same. So I think we don't really know yet if there's a group of drugs or a way we can treat people. Of course, what's interesting, of course, is that, you know, there are some observations before transplant that azathioprine might be protective. So we don't really know if people on azathioprine and their immunosuppression are more protected than those that are not. Of course, there's data about the role of simvastatin having a protective effect pre-transplant, and that's being looked at in the Scandinavian trial. Well, you know, so I suppose what I'm alluding to is I think we've got a lot to learn about the role of the gut post-transplant and what we can do to modulate it to maybe protect patients. I think we've got a lot to learn as well about the role of other drugs that we could give to patients that might have a protective role as well. So, for example, statins. The problem is, you know, it's hard enough studying pre-transplant PSC to then study a much smaller group where it's very heterogeneous. And we know even less about the role of how the donor genetics interacts with the host genetics to maybe be having an effect on disease relapse. You know, there's so many things, it gets very hard. But I think there's lots of pointers and things we could chase up on. And my hunch is we'll learn from the pre-transplant patients and then translate what we know to the post-transplant patients, hoping that it will have a protective effect on recurrence.
Fascinating, isn't it? And hopefully one day PSC patients won't even need to have transplants because we'll have another effective treatment.
Yeah. And also maybe better screening in, you know, in IBD patients and picking up disease earlier. You know, that's like my dream, I think, as well.